There are two groups of people that clicked on this video. The first group are actual business owners who are curious about who on earth Rimuru Tempest is and what business advice it could possibly give, with a slight dash of, wait a minute, is that an anime character? And then there are those who are following or have seen a couple of episodes of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime and are absolutely convinced that I am trolling or I have created a clickbait video because come on, when on earth did Rimuru teach anybody in the show about running a business? Whichever group you fall into, I do hope you spare me about 15 minutes of your time to prove to you really that Rimuru does give excellent business advice. And really, if you want to run a successful business, don't you want to learn from the man, the slime, the demon lord himself, who turned a goblin settlement in a forest in the middle of nowhere into a thriving town and a major economic bloc? I mean, you couldn't find a better teacher, especially one with the results that Rimuru guarantees. Quick summary of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, also known as Tensei Slime or Tensura. We follow Satoru Mikami, a human man in his 40s, a construction overseer who, after he's stabbed whilst trying to protect one of his subordinates, dies and is reincarnated into another world as a slime, where he befriends a storm dragon, gets a handle on his powers and abilities, and by accident finds himself the overseer of a region after he saves them from world-ending after world-ending threat and decides to create a life of culture and enjoyment for himself. Of course, to do that, he needs money and a thriving economy. And therein lies the first lesson that Rimuru Tempest has to teach business owners. Figure out your why. Why do you want this business? Why do you want it to be successful? Why did you start your business in the first place? Figuring out your why means that no matter what stands in your way, whether it's an orc disaster rampaging through your land, or a group of clowns who are arbiters of chaos, or a childish demon lord who is in search of entertainment, finding your why just like Rimuru does and keeping it in mind is what keeps you on track. So no matter what surprises are tossed your way, you can say, I am starting this and creating this business because ... In Rimuru's case, his why is pretty clear. To have the life of culture that he enjoyed in Japan before he was reincarnated to this mythical land, he needs to create an economically viable and thriving market. And Rimuru keeps this goal in mind throughout the story. Of course, he's also battling foreign forces that keep trying to mess with the business and ruin his market. But that leads to lesson number 2. Know your competition. Whether that competition is the Kingdom of Falmouth, a superpowered nation that served as a major trading city and so saw Tempest, the country that Rimuru found himself running, which was aptly named after him, as a competition that had to be forcefully removed from the board with any means necessary. Or the Rosso family, who had the foresight to realize that Rimuru's goal is to turn Tempest into a major economic bloc that would stand on its own and rival the economic power and success of numerous countries combined. Whoever your competition is, you need to know them well so you can plan for any eventuality or any wrenches they might want to throw in your path. Knowing your competition also means that you get to tailor your products and services in a way that they stand out as better. It also means you are able to make what you offer your customers easily accessible compared to others. For example, the Kingdom of Falmouth has to deal with monsters attacking traders who are trying to buy and sell their wares. Easy. Rimuru sets up patrol guards to eliminate all the monsters around Tempest. That way traders can come and go with ease and Tempest starts looking like the more viable option, thus pulling customers from Falmouth into Tempest. You have to think strategically and long term to outsmart and outwit your opponent. Third business tip from Rimuru Tempest: simple. There is nothing wrong in getting a running start or boost from family and friends. In fact, a lot of them are willing to support you, and it's a great feeling to get support from those who love you. I mean, look at Rimuru. His story as an overpowered slime really starts off when he befriends a storm dragon who names him and indirectly adopts him into his family, thus allowing a sharing of powers with him. Of course, based on their agreement, Rimuru then swallows his new friend and brother to help him break out of a prison. But hey, you don't have to do the same. Just know that the people who see you and love you and want to support you, that's why they are your friends. That is why they are your family. And by family, chosen family also counts, of course, because I know not everybody has biological family that they can count on. But your chosen family, they can come through in a clutch. Don't turn down their help and be willing to ask for their support. They might just surprise you and give you more than you need to get started. And once you're ready to get started, keep in mind Rimuru's 4th business tip. Recognize your own strengths and find those who complement them. Rimuru Tempest Tempest is not the smartest tool in the shed. He's not the smartest person in the room, but he does have a supercomputer in his head who gives him all the information he needs, and he's just as quick to take on all of first the great sage and later Raphael Sensei's words and wisdom. And realizing that this special unique skill of his is way more knowledgeable than he is, doesn't fill Rimuru with any sort of angst. He realizes that Raphael, being his skill, is willing to help his dreams and visions become a reality by handling the nitty-gritty details of what Rimuru wants. He therefore uses her to the best of his abilities. When he realizes that the goblins, for example, don't have the necessary skills to build their own homes or make clothing and weapons for themselves, he also admits that it isn't something he has the skills to do either. However, the minute he is informed about the skilled dwarves, he makes his journey to the armed nation of Dwargon, called Dwargon for short, to go hire himself some dwarves, which he succeeds at, mind you. And it was a brilliant call because the dwarves matched perfectly well with what Rimuru set out to do. He could share his ideas and plans, helped made more concrete with the help of the great sage, and the dwarves were able to make everything he envisioned a reality. Now, Rimuru's journey to Dwargon also meant that the stage was set for the 5th business lesson: cultivate allies. As already established, you can't do everything yourself. No one person is smart enough to do it all, but having support goes a long way. Having allies, people with whom you can cultivate a mutually beneficial relationship with that would see you both grow, is essential for your business growth. In this case, Rimuru goes to Dwargon, is spotted by the king of the country, Gazelle Dwargo, who sees promise in what Rimuru can offer his country from an economic and military standpoint, and becomes allies with him, helping to teach Rimuru how to behave more like a king, willing to lie for Rimuru and for Tempest in the aftermath after things went down with Falmouth the way they did. He more than proved the benefits of their alliance. Same thing with Rimuru's alliance with the kingdom of Blumund, the sorcerer dynasty of Sarion, the kingdom of Famenas, the domain of Demon Lord Milim, which includes Eurazania, and then there's the only empire of Lubelius. Each of these countries gave Tempest legitimacy as a power and a country to be reckoned with in their world. Having partnerships and allied businesses, especially if the product or service you sell can be one that benefits from input or resources from other businesses, can be a way to help your business grow. You can market each other's products, you can have collaborations. Allies, ones that you can trust, can be immensely influential for your business's growth. Just as influential to the growth and success of a business is being able to choose the right person for the job, which is lesson number 6. Now, this wouldn't apply to you if your business is a one-person business, i.e. you're the only one doing everything yourself. That is fine. And here is hoping that your business continues to grow and thrive until you can hire more hands to help out when your business starts booming. But if you do need the extra hands already, then act like Rimuru and make sure that you are getting the best hands for the job. Not just anyone would do. Vesta's brilliant scientific mind meant that Rimuru was willing to let go of Vesta's first impression and give him free reign over their production of healing potions. The same thing with Gabiru, who eventually brought on to work with Vesta. In the most recent anime episode, we see that Rimuru, having been aware of the sharp financial mind that Miomal has, basically lays a setup to get him to move to Tempest under the guise of helping him out with the Founders Festival. The same way as why he let Shuna work her magic so she can bring Yoshida, a world-renowned pastry chef, over to Tempest, which she succeeds at. And that means people who want to taste the deliciousness of Yoshida's pastries have to come to Tempest to spend money to get it, which is great for their economy. And don't get me started on him recognizing that Soe would be great for reconnaissance and Benimaru has what it takes to be the commander of Tempest's army. Rimuru has always had a good eye for people and knows how to move them to the right positions where their best skills can come to the fore, which is ultimately beneficial monetary wise to Tempest. But it is one thing to get the best hand for the job, it's another thing to make sure that these hands are aligned to your business goals and values. You don't want to bring anyone on board who isn't representative of what you want reflected in your business, because they have the power to tank your sales and ruin you. So it is important to be clear upfront with yourself and your team what your core values are. Take Rimuru for example. He made it clear at the very start of the story that there were 3 unbreakable rules that had to be followed as it was most representative of what Tempest was about. Rule number 1, no attacking humans. Rule number 2, no fighting among yourself. Rule number 3, no belittling other races. And the denizens of Tempest followed these rules, even at the cost of their own lives. The rules were important because it helps to cement what kind of country Jura Tempest Federation was going to be. Same way you need to learn what your business goals and values are and communicate it with those who join your business so they are always aligned with what you stand for. The 8th business lesson from Rimuru is pretty straightforward. Delegate, delegate, delegate. Rimuru Tempest is the most laziest slime you would ever meet. It just wants to soak in the hot springs, eat yummy food, dream about manga and live a life without stress, and honestly same. And the only way that Rimuru is able to do so is to delegate, because what is the use of having the most skilled team who have been specially picked because they are most suited for their roles if you don't give them the room to grow and bring their skills to bear? It does them a disservice. It wouldn't help your team grow. It wouldn't benefit your business, and you wouldn't get to relax. So follow the Rimuru philosophy. If you can get someone else to do the boring, tedious work, pawn it off to them. They grow and get better, and you create a system and business that is self-sufficient and doesn't need you to micromanage it to guarantee success. Then there's lesson number 9. Never place all your cards on the table. Being mysterious will always work in your favor, especially when you're talking with people who you know might have some intelligent and important things to say. And because people often assume that you being quiet and choosing what information you share and which ones you keep to yourself means that you know more than you're letting on, you can always use this to your advantage when you're negotiating or brainstorming ideas that would bring in more money and create all-round wealth for you and your business. For example, Rimuru's subordinates are always convinced that he is the most intelligent, most cunning person in the room with foresight, who is able to make predictions, utterly unaware that he is learning this information as they are sharing it with him. Of course, he does recover quickly and well enough to roll with their suggestions, saying things like, he did have that idea as well, but was wondering if, for example, Mile was going to bring it up and suggest something a little different. In one fell swoop, he's able to convince Mile that he is brilliant enough to come up with something that his boss had also been thinking, and also confirms that Mile is on a similar wavelength with him and they are definitely in sync, which is remarkable for improving one's bonds with those they work with. And finally, the last business lesson from Rimuru Tempest: create an ecosystem of wealth. If the products you have basically feed into one another, you end up growing your different streams all at the same time, and it means you end up giving your customer a well-rounded experience. Take, for example, Rimuru's plans about Tempest and the arena. His goal is to turn Tempest into an economic hub and resort town, but then he realized that resort towns would only get an influx of visitors at certain times of the year. What happens during moments of downtime? That's what in turn led to him thinking about the arena, which can host yearly tournaments and can also be an avenue where adventurers can train, buy weapons and equipment, and get medicines to heal themselves for when they go adventuring. That way, Tempest becomes a full-on hub that gets business and money inflow on a regular basis. And we haven't yet gotten to the dungeon yet. When your business is one that had different products that are linked in function or that go better together, you end up boosting sales by selling multiple products, which in turn is most beneficial to your business. It's a win-win. So tell me, did I succeed in convincing you that Rimuru really does have a ton to teach you about how to run a successful business? Let me know in the comments. And before you go, if you want to hear my thoughts on why people's treating of Tensei Slime as a battle anime is unfair to the story, then check out this video right here. If you enjoyed the absolute chaos and madness and just a tad bit of trolling that is this video, do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to. Check out my other videos. Share this video if you think someone else would laugh and enjoy it, or maybe even learn from this. It does help grow my channel and is incredibly supportive of my content. Speaking of support, a huge thank you to my patrons. You all keep me going and help keep the lights on. Thank you so much. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, the link is in the description bar. I make new videos 3 times a week. Videos drop at 5 p.m. EST on upload days. Until next time, do remember, obsessing over the things you love, perfectly valid coping mechanism.